Just even thinking back to the 2.5 years that I've been paired with Stark, it's like he's opened up the world to me. It's almost like he's given me the strength and the courage and that emotional support to be strong enough to do the things that I wasn't able to do before I was paired with him. I was diagnosed with PTSD in the spring of 2015. Post-traumatic stress disorder is a mental health disorder. It comes from different traumas that I experienced. I deal with a lot of triggers that I don't know when they're going to come up for me. It could be anything from a smell that suddenly triggers a reaction in my body, the sight of a car driving past me, and just that motion in my peripheral vision could trigger something within me. There's the fear, the nervousness, there is anxiety. So it's all these different things that are that just kind of fire through my body. And it's physical, but it's also emotional, and it's also mental. It's a lot of instability in all different ways. Stark is very, very intuitive. Early on in his training, the trainers noticed that he had an aptitude for being able to do emotional support work. He's got these really big, brown, soft, compassionate eyes. Quite often people look at him and it looks like he can almost look into your soul and pick up what it is that you're feeling and what it is that you need. Feeling his heartbeat, hearing his breathing, and just feeling his warmth is enough just to snap like my mindset or put my focus onto him. And as soon as I do that, it just kind of puts everything into focus for me. So the vest is pretty much how, if I think about my days being a police officer or a flight attendant, is when you put the uniform on, you are on duty. So your demeanor changes. You are now professional. You have a job to do, and there's no playing around. There's no goofing around. Serious, get to the business. When his vest comes off, he knows that he is no longer working, that I no longer need him for a job, and he knows that it's his free time. It's almost visible when the vest comes off. He just turns into a normal dog. Before I had Stark, I had many periods in my life where I was very suicidal and didn't really feel like I wanted to carry on or that I was strong enough to carry on. I didn't know if it would really be possible to get better. I was 24 years old, and I was doing a flight coming back from Dubai, and I happened to be working in the business class section. As we were talking more and just getting a little bit friendlier, he asked me if I might be interested in having dinner. After dinner, he asked me if I would like to go back and to his hotel room and have a drink. I didn't realize at the time that he obviously had put something in my drink, because I remember drinking and then coming to, and when I did, I was in the bathtub with water running over me to wake me up. this person had struck me with either his fists or with something in his hands. So those were the moments that I remember being woken up. I was sexually assaulted for 3 days before I was able to get out of that situation. The last time I woke up, he was no longer in the room with me. I feigned being still passed out, and I just waited and waited and waited. I got myself up to a position where I could actually crawl into a closet. I think I was in the closet for maybe a day and a half. After that incident in Hong Kong, I couldn't go back to being a flight attendant at that time. It just really sparked a part of me that didn't want any of those things to happen to anybody else. And that event influenced my decision to become a police officer. Most of my career, I was stationed in Surrey. I started with my first posting in Wally. We dealt with a lot of gangs, drugs, domestic calls. And then 5 years into the policing, just little things started happening. My insomnia started to get worse. I was probably sleeping maybe 2 or 3 hours between shifts. I started having flashbacks during work, after work, and rather than situations that I dealt with at work, they were more flashbacks regarding to myself. There was one particular night when I was leaving Surrey Memorial Hospital, and I was just driving my patrol car back to the District 1 office on King George Highway. And it was I think it was about 2 a.m. I don't know how it happened. I don't know when it happened. And it felt like I closed my eyes for a split second. And the next moment, I opened my eyes and my patrol car was on top of the center median of King George Highway. I recognized, and the people closest to me recognized, that I needed to take some time off and try to figure out what was happening and what was wrong. Making the decision to retire from the RCMP was a really difficult decision to make. I guess in many ways, my life just kind of fell apart. I went from being this strong, capable person to being fearful of everything and to not have to deal with a lot of these things. I just kind of went into this shell, pretty much removed from everything and everyone. I didn't know that I would be able to get better. I thought that that would probably be the healthiest I could be. I had been house-ridden for actually a number of years, and at that point I had probably not left my house in a couple of months. Rick was supposed to come over and give me a quote to do some work at my house, and at that time that he was coming, it was my partner was supposed to have been home to meet with Rick, and he was running late with an appointment. So when Rick knocked on the door, I had the blinds drawn and everything, and I answered the door, and he just gave me this really big warm smile. And normally I wouldn't allow anybody into my house without somebody there, but I felt comfortable enough to have him come inside. Rick and I just started talking.
Yeah, that was my recollection. Was we just sort of went from talking about dogs and how great they are, and then I started sharing a little bit about what PADS was.
Yes.
And just how random it was that I was in the middle of dealing with a program that really kind of fit exactly what you were experiencing.
And as soon as you mentioned PADS, and told me about them, I was just my ears perked up. I just wanted to know more,
right.
Especially when you said they were introducing a program for PTSD.
Yeah. And then to have you open up about where you're at and also your love of dogs, then you mentioning it, you already were looking at a program elsewhere. And I'm like, what's the odds? The fact that we met, how we met, I'm still kind of blown away by how opportunistic that was, just to be the exact right time.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
When I first started with the PADS training program, there was some apprehension and probably a little bit of fear and nervousness on my part.
I had heard about Juliet. She came to PADS in advance of our open house with Rick DeHart to meet both myself and Margaret, our trainer, and a few dogs, just casually and formally, just meet us.
We sit down, Margaret brings in a couple of dogs, and the dogs just, you know, of course, they're labs or retrievers, they're all very, very friendly. They come and say hi to everybody. And it was really cute because Stark actually, after circling and saying hi to everybody, went over and actually sat at Juliet's feet.
And I got totally emotional, and I was just hoping that, you know, maybe he would be the one.
So all of our PADS dogs undergo the same training. Start at 8 weeks, puppy raising into advanced training. And it's when they're in advanced training that we start looking at the dog. What is their personality? What is their skills? And we say we pick the best job for the dog. When a dog is selected for our PTSD program, our staff start looking at the dog, and they're very much looking for the potential match. And once that match is made, then they start fine-tuning the dog for that specific person.
We teach our PTSD support dogs lots of different skills. We teach them interruption behavior. We can teach them blocking behavior. A lot of our clients have nervous tics related to their anxiety, either bouncing their leg, fretting the leash. We teach the dog to interrupt that. The dog intuitively is feeling that, perhaps senses a cortisol spike, and engages with you. At nighttime, if you have night terrors, nightmares, we teach the dog skills to apply pressure using their body weight against your body to basically bring you to a state of consciousness and a state of calmness. When we go into malls or places that are high anxiety for our clients, we teach them grounding exercise where we put them through a basic obedience routine of sit, down, stand, and it just helps the client ground, connect with their dog before they enter into the mall.
They're trained dogs for a specific purpose. They require care, commitment. They not only physical care, they require emotional care. Our dogs are there to aid, but there's also a responsibility for the client.
So when I was first introduced to PADS, the program had just launched, and Stark was chosen to be the first PADS PTSD dog, and I was chosen to be the first client. So that being said, there was a lot of excitement and a lot of happiness approaching graduation. There was also the fear within me of being able to open up and be vulnerable. I started reflecting on all the ways that Stark had changed my life, and it wasn't just one or two things here and there. He basically changed my entire life. I knew that I had to speak at the graduation, and just to be able to share about what Stark has done for me, but also share with the PADS people how grateful I was for what they had given me.
It was really amazing to see her go from a very short window of time of being afraid to talk to a single guy she hadn't met before to presenting to a group of hundreds of people.
Her speech is still talked about, and I have just such admiration and respect for her, for being brave enough to step up and then sharing her story to the community in order to help others. It's incredible.
So to actually get to meet people and find people and know that you're not alone when for so long you thought you were the only one, it just immediately bonds you, and it gives you this immediate trust. It's almost like your family.
She's one of the pivotal people in our community. She was the first person to come through our PTSD dog program, and you know what? She's a good role model to everybody else, too.
All you had such good tips and just, you know, kind of telling us what you've been through. And it was just really grounding, too, that like, okay, this is actually going to work. This is going to work for me. I can feel it, right? So it was really, really helpful. I don't know if I ever told you that. Yeah, so thank you.
just knowing that somebody else would be brought into the program, and then actually being able to meet each other, I mean, that's made a huge difference.
No, I feel like I've made new friends. I have 12 new friends from the PTSD program.
Are there 12 of us? That's including you. That's including you and Vader.
Yeah.
Gosh, wow.
And here we're like 4 broken women, right? And then just because of the dogs brought us all together.
With Stark, it almost feels like I'm learning how to do things all over again, but learning how to do them from a healthier mindset and a healthier body, just coming from a healthier place. And the more things that he introduces back into my life, I realize that I'm capable of doing them, and I have a lot more self-confidence in my ability. And so in doing those things, I am getting stronger, like just as time passes and day by day.
To see her today, it's really incredible.
She's lively, she's talking to people, she's engaging. She talks about all the different activities she's doing, paddle boarding, going to parks.
She's traveled overseas, which was something that she couldn't do before. She's back with her running club, and she's actually back connecting with people.
If Stark could hear me, and I could tell him exactly what he means to me and what he's done for me. He's the first thing that has come into my life that I have felt unconditional support and unconditional acceptance. And I feel like he's given me the strength to be able to work on some of the things that I need to work on, because they're really difficult things. He's helped given me the strength to face some of those things, and even to work through some of the trauma means I have to go back and revisit that trauma, and knowing that he's there to go through it with me makes it bearable. It's almost like he's rebuilt me. It's almost like he has taken, all the best things about me, which obviously before I was paired with him, I didn't think highly of myself, and I didn't think I had that many good things to redeem. And then I have Stark, and this dog loves me so much and thinks so much of me and supports me in so many ways that he has given me the ability to see myself in a different light and to see myself as a capable person and a brave person and a strong person and somebody that can get better.
I thought that I saw you driving your car through the back parking lot where we used to shop. I said I was fine. I'm finding I'm not. I wander the aisles, stare at the cereal for a while. Thought I heard you calling my name. The days they came and went. All my time was spent with my head down. It'll be a good year. It'll be a good year. It'll be a good year. Oh, it'll be a good